Okay. Colin, would you like to come over here?
Sure.
Yeah. So yesterday,
Standing here. If I could just...
yeah, you can
Wherever I need to be
have
for
a
this.
seat if you need to. Okay, I'm getting distracted by chat. So yesterday, we had a challenge for you to take pictures of Cameron and I using all of your different lenses.
Yes.
And our wonderful comms folks have put together a blog post that is up now with all of those photos as examples. So can you talk to us about the different lenses and sort of the use of each of them? I'm going to pull up the blog post.
Very good. So the one that we see here is, this is the, I have a 16 to 55 zoom lens. And it's your standard kind of workhorse kind of lens. Since, to get real nerdy on it, please, because Fujifilm, the system that I shoot on, specifically the X mount lenses, or the X series cameras, are all crop sensors or ASPC censored lenses or systems. So the 16 to 55 is equivalent to, on a full frame or 35mm camera, is equivalent to about 24 to 80-ish, I'm going to say. Math not so good. Camera good. Math not so good. So this one here is at the 55mm range. So it's at the end of the zoom range. So it's punched in a little bit more and not getting the full wide. But then on the next shot, I believe, is at the 16mm. Yep. So this is at the 16mm. So you can see why this is kind of like the workhorse lens. So it can get the very wide stuff and it can get the very tight stuff. So it's good for groups and good for when there's activity, and also pretty good for portraits as well. It's not the cream of the crop for, I guess pun intended, for specifically for a portrait or anything like that, because it isn't as fast. It's an f2.8, whereas, for example, this lens here is my favorite, currently my favorite portrait lens, and it goes up to an f1.2, which is significantly faster. The lower the number, the faster the lens is, more light it can capture through all that. I think the next one, though, goes even wider, and that's that is the 7.5. And it's one of those things where every once in a while, when I'm buying camera gear, I'll see something where it's just like, oh, I have no use for that, but that'd be cool.
You could shoot a skate video.
Yeah, you can get a fisheye lens and shoot a rap video with a couple of friends.
Absolutely shoot a rap video. Good old Beastie Boys. If Beastie Boys want to call me up, I would be more than happy.
Hype Williams, what are you doing? Hit me up.
But yeah, no, it is super wide. It's just, I think it's like 0.2 degrees off of a full 180.
Wow.
You really gotta watch where your hands are when you're holding the lens, because it's a manual focus lens. So you're definitely, you're trying to make sure your focus is accurate, and at the same time you gotta watch out on the edges for your fingers just creeping in to frame just ever so slightly.
Yeah, I guess the focal plane is a little hard to find when you're looking at roughly 75% of the world.
Exactly. I have actually shot some. I shot an automotive event video with that lens, just because let's be real, I was a little bit lazy. Let's just shoot it wide. Everything's great. And with the unfortunate side being that you can't put any an ND filter or anything to make it darker going to the sensor or anything with such a curved piece of glass. So it is not the most usable for multi-purpose necessarily, but it is very neat. I
You
think.
should shoot everyone's wedding. Like, just do one wedding with only fisheye and see. And they're like, "You're never hired again." Be like,
Get me
"No,
out of the
looks
industry.
sick. Check out this
Bravo."
trick you were doing on the altar.
Grind.
And now pronounce you bruh and bruh. Bruh. Yeah.
What? You may now kiss the bride because she rules. Woo,
Yeah.
kickflip.
Sit bride, let's go.
Guitar solo. And then I think the next one is, there we go. That, as I've been
This is
alluding
great.
to, is just the shelf. That is my 50 to 140. This is at the 140 all the way in. And you can see man versus alien. I mean, it's a great shot of that.
Yeah.
Completely goes past our subjects. I've been using this more for very close-up portraits as people are on stage, or as people are sitting in the friend zone and everything. And this specific zoom range is one. It's great for weddings and events of that nature, but it's also I've been starting to take it when I go out on hikes and stuff. So getting landscape shots, so you're able to like zoom all the way in on a mountain that's far away, or get a very kind of cropped look at a certain area close up, but also that's far away from you. Beautiful landscapes can be shot with a telephoto lens. The next one, of course, will be the 50 millimeter side of that zoom lens, I believe. Yes. Which again, that's just just a nice little group portrait there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
Just put the golden ratio image over top of that.
Yeah.
perfection.
Well,
Very natural looking conversation.
Yeah.
Variety is the spice of life.
Spice of life. I'm not
just
sure.
Just a little bit. And like you can see, if you compare this, engineering doesn't have to go back. People can check the blog post at desertbus.org. But if you compare shot 5 with shot 1, because 1 was at the 50 millimeter range,
Was at 55,
and this one is
yep.
at 50 millimeter.
This will be backed up just ever so slightly.
Exactly. They're very similar sizes.
Yep.
What about the next one we have
The
here?
next one, I believe this is my 35?
35 millimeter. Yep.
35.
Looks
This
like
is
35.
This is one of the few, the 7.5 and then this one are my two non-Fuji lenses that I have with me on this trip. And I enjoy the look of the 7 Artisans lenses. The 35 gives it a little bit more of a film, like old school filmy kind of look to it. It's not as tack sharp as, say, the 56 here or my 23, which are the next ones coming up. But they are, it's something that gives a specific type of vibe. And when you're shooting out in sunlight, or if I was shooting something where I am sitting right now, you'd get a little bit more of the lens flares. It pulls that extra little bit of, it's not as perfectly designed as you would see other lenses, so it has nice little imperfections to it.
Nice. So the next one we have.
This one is my 23 millimeter f1.4 Fuji lens. This is a pretty good lens. It's the one that's equivalent to 35 millimeter. 35. It's 23 millimeters, but it's on a 35 millimeter sensor. It's a 35 millimeter lens.
Okay.
And that one is probably my favorite lens right now, overall, because it's just so versatile. As far as usefulness and image quality simultaneously. I think over the pandemic, because everything was video calls, I had my X-T2 with this lens on it all the time. And every single video call I was in, it was just, oh man, your video looks amazing. It's like, oh, thank you. It was all that lens, 100%. Because it also, like, as far as video goes, it actually focuses pretty well, and is able to lock on stuff like that. And then last but not least, we have the 56 1.2 millimeter lens there, and like I said, this is my favorite portrait lens for right now. I say right now, as if I'm changing that up all the time. But yeah, it's once again one of those really nice lenses where it's not too wide, and it's not too telephoto. That's what I was going for. It's a nice lens. There's another version of this specific lens too, where it does have a little bit the glass has been tweaked slightly to allow for a more smooth look on skin tones and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But as a starving artist, as myself, that one costs a little bit too much.
That is amazing. Colin, thank you so much
Absolutely.
for doing that and for taking us through it all. This is so cool to see the comparison there. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm glad I could help give all that information out there.
Yeah, it has a very strong School of Athens vibe.
Yeah.